Everyone, I'm excited today because we're going to be talking about, I love my show every time it's on. I really do. I must admit that. And
We
the
do
reason
too.
why I do, thank you, get up on those mics. But here's what I want to talk about with everyone right now. What you're going to listen to right now and hear is that there's a lot of great information out there that people do not know and they need to hear. And you don't know what you don't know, and that's what this show is great for, is to hear some things that maybe for you or someone that you know, you can tell them about it. That's what networking is all about. I have with me Tiffany Phelan, and she is the owner of Senior Helpers. I also have with me Jennifer Stupski, who is the owner of Legal Stuff. Now, we've had you on together once before, and I absolutely loved it because you guys are blending some of the things that you should be prepared for and some of the things for the seniors to be able to live in their homes with things that they need to be thinking about before, as they're getting prepared for, being able to age in place. Let's talk a little bit about that. Jennifer, welcome back. You always do a special. We're going to talk a little bit about estate planning first. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm pushing you this way so that you get closer.
I don't want to cover her. Okay, so more about me? Was that what you would like to
Yes,
know?
I would like to hear more.
So I basically do estate planning. I do power of attorneys, I do wills, I do beneficiary deeds, pretty much anything that anybody needs.
Everything
To
that
age in
anybody
place.
needs. I'm going to tell you now, you are really covered in almost every area. But today you wanted to talk a little bit about estate planning, and why that's so important and why it goes along with Tiffany and Senior Helpers.
Well, and the biggest part isn't necessarily a last will or a trust, it's those power of attorneys. We're living through strokes, we're living through heart attacks, we're living through a lot of different diseases, and we need someone that can make decisions for us when we can't. And people do not have those in place when that happens.
You deal with it almost every single day, probably not just every day, but all day long.
All day long.
Right, because of what kind of things happen?
Well, for instance, I had a client that had a stroke. Her closest family member was in Portugal. Her son was in France. There was nobody here to make these decisions, and she was put in a group home and just left there until somebody got appointed because she didn't have anything in place.
Now, you are a legal document preparer,
Yes.
right? And you are mobile, and you come to people, you make it so simple for everyone. You're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You do free consultations. You are a fiduciary. I want to
Yes.
get that out. It's very important
Yes.
that you know that about her, too. And you offer something that I want you to tell everybody what they're going to get. So hopefully I'll write it down this time.
So we're going to do a will-based plan.
Okay.
So if you need a simple will, your power of attorneys, your durable or your financial power of attorney, your healthcare power of attorney, a living will, which is your last directives, and a beneficiary deed if you own a home.
And that value of that is?
$495.
It's a $495 value free to you or anyone that you know. So we've got our lines open here. I'm going to let everyone call throughout the rest of the show. We're going to be talking an hour about some of these different things here and how they blend together and why it's so important, why you wanted to kind of talk with each other
Right.
on the show today. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Everyone is going to get entered into win. It is the will-based plan, and I know that you do this. If somebody doesn't win, you obviously give them a discount as well.
20%.
20% discount. Now, I want to talk about you a little bit, Tiffany. Obviously, you help people age in place, and you kind of want to talk about being all prepared, which is something that you really was important to you today too.
Absolutely. So Senior Helpers is a non-medical home care company, and so what we do is we specialize in hiring, training caregivers who go into our seniors' homes in our community, and they do anything and everything they need that's non-medical to help them stay at home. So a couple of examples of things that we'll do. We can help folks who no longer grocery shop. We can either take them to grocery shop or do their grocery shopping for them. We can do laundry and light housekeeping. We can do linen changes. That's very popular because
That'd
it's
be
a little
my
hard.
favorite too.
Right, it's hard to pull those linens over the bed if you have arthritis in your hands. For our seniors who maybe they need a little help getting into the shower, can shower themselves. Maybe they need help showering. We can do all of that. And a very large segment of what we do is assisting people who have Alzheimer's and dementia at staying at home independently. And really, the reason I want to talk about that whole pre-planning and why it works so well when we're on together is because there are so many pieces that go into pre-planning aging in place. And I had somebody say something really profound to me about people are worried about what happens when they die. But oftentimes it's not what happens when you die, it's what happens if you live. What happens if something happens to you, either medically or trauma or something, and then all of a sudden you can't make your own decisions, and that goes back to powers of attorney and things like that. And it also goes back to how are we telling our loved ones what we wish, right? Most people want to stay at home, but what does that really look like? Do you want to stay at home even if that means care coming into the home? Does it mean that if you needed care, you would prefer to move out of your home? Does it, and oftentimes, especially if we have multiple children, each one of our children has a different idea about what they want to do, and
Yep.
I've done about 5,000 assessments in my life. I've worked with about 5,000 families myself, just trying to plan, what does this look like, this whole aging journey? And oftentimes, everybody's idea is a little different, so it's good to get that out up front and kind of talk about what does that really look like.
I want to ask you this. I don't even think I've ever asked you because you mentioned somebody that may not pass away, that they live. Let's say it's somebody that's they were in an accident and they need help. They need help staying home, but they're not necessarily a senior. Can they hire you?
We work with all adults, so everybody 18 and over.
Right.
We don't do any pediatrics, but we work with everybody 18 and over, and we actually have worked with folks who have had traumatic injuries from like a work site injury. So we've helped people who've fallen off of roofs as a roofer, and so we do a lot, like we do workers' comp work as well, and we've got quite a few clients who are not seniors but who are veterans, and the VA actually pays for their care, so they need a little extra help for whatever reason to stay at home. Maybe it was a service-related disability, or maybe it's, like you said, a traumatic accident or something, but oftentimes then the VA pays for care too.
I must say about planning, how important it is. Why do people not plan?
A lot of times they don't want to think about it. They think it's overwhelming. There's so much to really think about. If you start putting and breaking things down into pieces on where I'm going to go or what I want to do, there's just a lot, and they get overwhelmed very easily.
How can they call and have you help with the conversation? Because I think that it's the hardest thing for a child to have to tell their parents what to do. Can you help with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And give them different phrases or different ways or different avenues to maybe work their way, baby step to where they need to be.
Right, and even for you, Tiffany, I know for firsthand, I've seen it happen, with my ex-mother-in-law, and I saw how you worked with them, and that wasn't an easy case. But you know what I'm saying? And there may not all be, but you also can help with the children, because it's the hardest part is talking to the parents.
Well, it's starting that conversation, and oftentimes even for our seniors, it may be something like, especially with documents, we're making decisions about who is going to make decisions for us if we no longer have capacity. If you have 3 children and all 3 of those children think they're going to be that person, but there's only one line, there's only one person that gets to do that job, that parent might anticipate a challenge, right? Like
Right.
I've seen that parent anticipates a challenge and would rather not even discuss it because they just don't know how. And so calling in somebody like one of us to start that conversation can be really helpful.
I'll tell you something, I think it's fantastic that you're here, that you're educating the public out there. The phone numbers to call, the phone number for Tiffany is 480-360-4141, or you can also call 602-457-2333. I didn't get it out, I'll get it out later.
We can start with that.
We'll start with that. I'm so enthralled. Okay, so we're going to keep on talking, and I'll open it up and do it then there, because I want to give do the giveaway as well. When you work with, when you start talking, it's like you
We were
totally
trying to count you
understand.
down.
I know you were. It's not your fault. I was
We were totally into the conversation.
so
we saw.
fast.
Yeah, right.
That's the problem. We need just more time. when you talk with one another, it's so wonderful to watch how you you just can almost finish each other's sentences because you just
Well,
get
it's like when she was talking about VA, I'm like, yep, I do the VA,
Yeah.
I do the forms.
And
Yeah.
people
So-
don't even know, because for VA, one of the challenges is you have a lot of folks who they did their time, right? They did their
Yeah.
service, then they got their civilian job, and maybe they had Blue Cross Blue Shield, or they had their other insurance. They never even bother they never used their VA, right? So
Right.
they don't realize they have it, and then they're 80 and they've got Parkinson's, and all of a
Can
sudden.
you
A lot of them is pride.
Like
Yeah,
that?
I'm a claim agent. I do all the forms. I
So
actually
you-
get them the benefits so they can pay
So
them.
you should mention that after we come back too. Okay, I'm gonna,
Yeah, I think he said 2 minutes.
yeah, this is no, it'll be about 2.5.
So, yeah.
Try to get it all out.
We try to get it all out. There's just so much information. I think that's why we are similar. We both have.
I know, and I feel bad because I don't want to, like, when you guys are talking.
No, I
I'm
love
like,
it. Because
it's
all
okay.
the conversations are, like, with the families, it's the same thing. That they all, I think you're ultimately dealing with a bunch of good people with a few bad apples thrown in
Yep.
there.
Yep.
But ultimately it's good people, but it's complex. People are just so complex. They don't want to have a conversation, or they're scared, or they're whatever, or.
They don't want to cause dissension in the family.
Right.
Because you're going to pick one kid to do the healthcare, and you're going to pick another one to do financial.
Right.
And then you've got the other kid that's the
That gets
troublemaker.
nothing.
That doesn't care.
You don't want him to have a say, because he's the one that would pull the plug.
Right, exactly.
Oh, you
But
know,
you
I
don't
forgot we're
want
doing
to
it
announce
now,
that.
that's much better. I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, we don't have enough time. No.
Oh, yeah, we're fine.
Fine.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
40 more minutes.
I'm like, I don't know.
No, I think it'll be. We're all good. No, in fact, I think that's really cool, and we do a lot of presentations to, like, veterans, like, say, they're doing some to veterans, like, apartments that are rent to a lot of veterans. You might wanna come with us, because they need a claim agent, usually. Like, usually, we're talking to people who haven't, like, fully realized.
Like, how
a lot of
often do you do
things.
that?
She's been doing it more and more. Mostly it's Amanda, actually.
So welcome back, everyone. I want to give out the information that I was just giving out for Jennifer from Legal Stuff. Forget to write this number down. Everybody, all this stuff that you hear, please write these numbers down. Talk to them. They will help you. They do free consultations. The number to call Jennifer is 602-457-2333. You can check them out either at seniorhelpers.com, or you can go to legalstuffaz.com as well. And we do have our lines open here. We're going to be talking a while with this, and it's so important because most people do not prepare. I've seen it over and over again, and you've at least 5,000 more for you probably, because you work all that all day long, of people who don't prepare. So we've got our lines open here for everyone to get entered into win. It's a will-based plan, and it's a $495 value, free to you or to anyone you know. And let me just tell you something, once you do it, that gives you peace of mind right there. Just to get together with Jennifer and sit down and talking, then you can talk with Tiffany about what the plans are for when things get even a little bit a different level of care. So our number here is 602-277-5369, and call in here. I'm gonna let everyone call throughout the rest of the show. Everyone should have this. If you're 18 years old on up, right?
Agree.
Okay, get back up on those mics so everybody can hear how much you agree with me.
I agree.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, I mean, I think one of the things, I'm going to speak from experience here. I have one elderly parent. My father is still alive. My mother has passed on just this year. And one of the things that we as adult children, so if you're listening and you're an adult child and you have an elderly loved one, all of a sudden they might wind up in the hospital. For any one of them, maybe even something relatively minor. Guess what? That hospital won't talk to you if you do not have these documents.
That's right.
You have to have them. And if whatever sent them to the hospital leaves them, say, not conscious or medicated and can't make their own decisions, it's too late for at least that period of time.
You know what I found, and I'm sorry, but I'm just going to chime in here, because my ex, who the mother-in-law is, she's fine upstairs. She's fine. And so she has a lot of say. And what they thought was all taken care of was not, because laws changed. And now what happened, they had to scramble so that they had to go reopen a different bank account because the names were either wasn't added or something like that happened. I can't really remember. But scrambling. And who wants to do that, especially when you're now having, you saw it happen, Tiffany, where she was now in a home, right? She was miserable. She couldn't think straight. But she could tell everybody what she wanted money-wise. That was certainly something she could do.
Right, but how's she gonna pay her bills? She can't, and most people, they try to do automated, but you know, when you get to a certain age group, they still like to write checks.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
And you just don't even know what bills are being paid, and if you're in the hospital for 2-3 months and things aren't getting paid, there's issues.
No matter what, you want to make sure that you're prepared. This is what we're talking about. We've got our lines open here for everyone to get entered into win. It's a will-based plan. Tell them really quickly what they get.
They get the last will and testament, the durable power of attorney, the healthcare power of attorney, the mental health power of attorney, living will, and the beneficiary deed.
So our number here is 602-277-5369, and I'm going to let everyone call throughout the rest of the show. You talked a little bit about VA and their benefits and not even knowing that they are available to some of them.
Sure. So one of the things we run into, and folks tend to call us when they need help in the home, right? Their things are starting to fail. Laundry's not being done. Maybe the car has to be taken away, right? Just driving privileges are not, are going to be gone. Whatever the case may be, and folks don't know what benefits they have available to them, and I think that's just really important. So one of the biggest benefits, one of the best benefits that folks have available to them if they're a veteran, is the VA. And one of what we were just talking about at the break is that for a lot of folks, they served their country, they left the service, they went to their civilian job, they got their health care through their civilian employer, and they never looked back. They didn't need the VA, and they just kind of moved on with their lives. Well, now maybe they're 80 years old and they need help in the home. Guess what? Every single veteran who was honorably discharged that can get their veterans benefits is going to qualify to get care in the home, at least some level if they need it.
So
Not even for them, but their spouses as well.
Oh, wow. So, if they call you, you can also check into that for them, right? But you, Jennifer, I'll get it out, that you can help them even before they get to where Tiffany's situation is, right?
I'm an actual claim agent, so I help them with the filling out the forms and processing them with the VA.
Yeah, and how important is it to make sure that they know and they get this all done way in advance?
Most of them don't do it, well, because they don't realize that it's there for them, and it's more for in-home care, or if you've got long-term care, it helps supplement that. The veteran and their spouse, so they have to keep in mind there's like a double benefit. But there's a lot of paperwork, and I think they get so overwhelmed, and the people in the VA offices just don't have the time to sit down with every single person.
I also think, and we're changing the subject here for a second for Tiffany, when people don't, I think what you do is so amazing, right? And I'm not saying that you're not, but because I'm so grateful to know that there's somebody there that can take care of my older parents, let's say, because I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want that responsible. I've seen what can happen, especially if they're not always themselves and not always so nice. But I love that you can be there and talk to them and help them, and I want you to talk about it.
Well, and I think too, even if it's an adult child who wants to be there, there's 168 hours in a week. And I know that because it's what my business revolves around, but many people don't think of it that way. That's basically 4 full-time jobs. So if you have a loved one who needs a lot of help, and maybe we're an adult child like one of us up here who has a full-time job, well, taking them on, it could be maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 full-time more jobs. Mm-hmm. It's not about not helping, it's just about needing to call in a little bit more of that village, and I think that's something to focus on too, is that as that aging happens, we need to bring that village together.
I also want them to know it's very affordable compared to some other thing. I mean, and for you, your service, Jennifer, it's invaluable because if they have those, you'll be so happy that you have your paperwork done and done correctly. And that's another thing, even if you have them, they should dust them off and have them looked at.
They have a say in what they want and where they want to go. So now's the time to do it when they can. If you wait till at the end, they're gonna fight it, and it's gonna be hard for them to adjust.
Now, we've got our lines open here for everyone to get entered into win. It's a will-based plan. It's a $495 value, free to you or anyone that you know. Anyone 18 on up really should have this. Absolutely, you'll be sorry if you don't. And you offer such a wonderful thing that you're offering for everybody to get entered into win one free one, but you also offer anyone who doesn't win 20% off. So everyone's a winner.
Everyone, well, and I travel to their homes, so they don't have to come to my office. I'm also a notary, so we don't have to look around for that as well.
And she's a fiduciary too, which means that she's looking out for you. That's what her job is. Now, you can check her out on her website. She is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. It's a free consultation. The website is legalstuffaz.com. You can call her at 602-457-2333. Now, also we've got here Tiffany, who's the owner of Senior Helpers, and we've kind of blending this. Her website is seniorhelpers.com. You can also call her direct, and I say anyone with aging parents, please have them call, have you do an assessment. That's another thing that you do. Her phone number is 480-360-4141, seniorhelpers.com. You've been doing this for 20 years or more. And you also live it, you walk the talk because your parents, you were taking care of your own parents. How long have you been doing what you do? A long time, I know for sure.
Yeah, almost 25 years.
So 25 years. So you both have a lot of experience in dealing with, well, I don't want to say death, but aging.
Yep.
Aging.
That
And
part
what
of
to do.
life that we don't like to look at.
That part of life, yep, that part of life that kind of scares us.
Before we go to a break, what do you want to talk about real quickly?
You know what, I think probably when we come back, I really want to share a little bit about the assessment process, because that sounds a little scary, right? And what the benefit to a family can be and how a family can use our process to help them plan amongst themselves as well.
Right, and I also want you to know, I actually saw, like I said, I saw you do this with my ex-mother-in-law, and like I said earlier, it wasn't very easy because she was also very upset in the situation. And that's another thing, when things, they usually call you when things are going awry, right?
Always.
Always, so you know better to call now instead of when things are going bad. And you also did, for me, you did my estate planning and all of my documents. I think we should dust them off and take a look at them too, because you know, it's just the way it is. But honestly, this is what we're talking about here, being prepared. And you can call in here and get yourself entered into win. It's a will-based plan, and our number here is 602-277-5369. What are your final words today?
We're going to talk about scams and seniors
We
and their
need to talk
vulnerability.
about scams. This is
Yeah.
so big. People get burned so easily, and you see it every day. I don't know much because you guys, you can trust them impeccably. You're 5-star rated everywhere.
Unfortunately, sometimes people come to us after they've had somebody come in to provide care who wasn't through an agency, and then they could be the victim of a scam as well.
So we've got our lines open here for everyone to get entered into win. It's a will-based plan. It's a $495 value, free to you or anyone you know. And I believe everybody should do it and everybody should have it. 602-277-5369. It's okay.